Good morning. This is Daniel Stern from the Netivyah Bible Instruction Ministry, broadcasting from Jerusalem. Today is October 9th, Monday. We're 2 days from when this war started. I don't yet know what its name will be. The Hamas are calling it Al-Aqsa Flood or Al-Aqsa Storm. The Israeli retaliation operation is called Iron Cross or Iron Sword, which coincidentally is a rank in the IDF, the rank of a brigadier general, a Tat Aluf. I'll maybe mention something about that later. I expect that the event that is transpiring now, we'll have another name in the future, but for now, those are the names. The casualty lists that I've seen so far are still at 700, which of course will rise. The wounded are still at 2,200. Yesterday, Nir and I traveled around the country to a few army bases, providing and repurchasing and providing more supplies for the troops. I was glad to be able to do that because there isn't much that we can do except for share what's happening. Later today, I will do a more in-depth analysis of what happened, because it's even when I look at it, it's unclear and confusing. And certainly, if you're not familiar with the geography and the lay of the land, then it's even more confusing to understand the scope of the situation. But basically, even at this point, Israel is still working to recapture the land that the Hamas has occupied at this point in time. I know, amusing word considering the Israel-Palestinian conflict, but the gist of it is that over 1,000 Hamas soldiers entered Israel from 22 points that they broke into our security fence. I'll go into the details about how that could happen and why the response was as impotent as it was, or lack of response, I should say. But of course, and they advanced over 20 kilometers into Israel. That's over 13 miles into Israel. And in some of those areas, they've still remained. Most of it has been pushed back, but there was, of course, terrible tragedy. There's over 250 dead and many captured just from one party, a party in nature that was called the Peace Party. Again, dark irony. But in any case, I'll go into that later today. I just wanted to start with a short update. There were missiles during the night, of course, missiles also today. The Israeli Air Force is attacking in Gaza. Some claim it's heavier and more intense than it's been before. The results don't yet show that, but again, there's always a fog of war. A few buildings have been knocked down in Gaza. On Saturday, they were still using the method of knocking on of sending warnings before bombing the building. I've heard that they've stopped doing that, possibly due to the official declaration of war or some other reason, but hopefully that's true. There's no point in bombing empty buildings that can be rebuilt very quickly. In Israel, yesterday, things were relatively shut down. At least 90% of the stores in Jerusalem were closed where I walked, and there was very little traffic on the streets. I expect that is partly due to the massive call-up of hundreds of thousands, as well as the cancellation of schools that resulted in parents needing to stay home with their children, as well as the fact that it was still the tail end of a holiday. We will see how that develops. We at Netivyah, of course, are doing our best to to gather funds and purchase supplies. There have already been requests by certain army units to purchase advanced tactical gear for them, such as drones and helmets. Obviously, one would ask, why in the world can't the army provide its soldiers with what they need? But you might find this amusing, although it's not funny. But soldiers have been asking for boxers, socks, shirts, toothpaste, deodorant, toothbrushes, just basic things. The army claims that they provide everything, but it might be that they have the provisions, but it's not getting to where it needs to go. So yesterday, when Nira and I were driving around the country, it was very heartwarming to see the thousands and tens of thousands of Israelis that were mobilizing to provide aid. When I came home last night, my mother told me that it's the People's Army, and that's true. When I was serving in the army, every 2 weeks I would come home and I would wash my clothes at home. You'd think that a professional army would be able to wash the soldiers' clothes, but we are a People's Army. Everyone serves, and it shows. Once again, when I go into the deeper analysis later, I will also talk about the force sizes and so on, but we'll save that for later. Pray for Yehuda, who is in the front lines, or will be soon. Pray for all of our soldiers. There are many casualties, many friends, many familiar people. Everyone in this country is affected by this, of course, on a personal level. What more can I say at this point in time? I'd like to invite you to send me any questions or comments that you have, and it can give me direction into what you would like answered. And I will do my best to do so. You can write the comments here or send them to my email at Daniel, Daniel, at Netivyah.org. I'll be glad to do my best to answer. And additionally, there's one more thing I wanted to say. Yes. Share these videos with anyone that you think would be interested. And God bless you all.